In the early 1980s, commercial rock radio was the ultimate gatekeeper of the global music industry. Before streaming algorithms or digital storefronts, getting a track added to a station's rotation sheet was the only conventional way to expose an artist to millions of listeners simultaneously. Stations like New York's WNEW or Los Angeles's KMET held total control over consumer habits. If a band didn't deliver a clean, radio-friendly mix that fit tightly into daytime programming slots, they were effectively invisible to the mass market. For an emerging heavy rock band, survival meant playing by the radio station's corporate rules. While commercial radio stations were heavily prioritizing highly polished American arena rock, a completely separate sonic revolution was brewing across the Atlantic. Iron Maiden emerged as the spearhead of the new wave of British heavy metal, a raw, fast-paced, underground movement that completely bypassed corporate structures. Led by bassist Steve Harris, the band didn't wait for radio validation. They cut their teeth in gritty, sweat-soaked venues like London's Soundhouse, building an intensely loyal audience through relentless live performances and a self-released 1979 demo tape. They proved that an aggressive, twin guitar attack could cultivate an organic fan base entirely underground, setting a template that relied on crowd proximity rather than a broadcast tower. As Iron Maiden transitioned into global distribution, they introduced a branding element that transformed how rock groups marketed themselves. Eddie, the band's decaying, skeletal mascot designed by artist Derrick Riggs, was vastly more than just simple sleeve decoration. He became an unkillable visual identity that fans could instantly spot on a crowded record store shelf. In an era where radio gatekeepers could choose to hide a band's faces, Eddie gave Iron Maiden a striking, front-page visual platform. He single-handedly unified their entire merchandise empire, appearing on every t-shirt, concert poster, and vinyl sleeve. While mainstream contemporaries were carefully pacing their calendars to match corporate broadcast cycles, Iron Maiden launched an aggressive, unhinged touring schedule that established them as an elite global live machine. Steve Harris operated on a core conviction. If radio stations wouldn't bring the music to the people, the band would physically drive it to their doorsteps. This relentless mindset culminated in the monumental World Slavery Tour of 1984 and 1985, over a grueling, continuous 331-day timeline. The band performed nearly 200 high-octane stadium and arena sets across the planet. This crushing live gauntlet demanded extreme physical stamina, turning their nightly sets into a massive, undeniable spectacle that built a sprawling global empire entirely through physical presence. Because corporate broadcasting was never the primary pipeline for the group, Iron Maiden's fan communities stepped in to become the ultimate marketing engine. Heavy Culture built an underground, decentralized communication network that completely bypassed traditional media channels. An intricate web of international tape trading, word-of-mouth recommendations, independent music magazines, and local record shop culture swept the globe. Fans meticulously copied physical cassettes, shared imported posters, and traded bootleg live audio tracks across borders. This intense, grassroots devotion turned every consumer into an active street team member, weaponizing the underground subculture to outpace the reach of commercial radio. Between 1982 and 1984, the group delivered a flawless run of studio releases that fundamentally altered the sonic landscape of heavy music. The Number of the Beast, Peace of Mind, and Power Slave didn't rely on the standard verse-chorus pop mechanics of the era. They featured complex, multi-layered arrangements and soaring operatic vocal performances by Bruce Dickinson. Instead of tailoring these recordings to fit the restrictive daytime 3-minute formats required by standard AM and FM radio stations, the band crafted expansive, historical epics like Rime of the Ancient Mariner. These landmark records expanded their global audience because they prioritized technical, uncompromising musicianship, proving to consumers that the band was answerable only to their art, not to corporate radio charts. The defining test of this structural strategy occurred when the group targeted the highly lucrative United States market. Traditional logic stated that an international metal act could only conquer America by secure, heavy rotation on major commercial rock stations. The actual reality was infinitely more nuanced. Iron Maiden did receive American airplay stations added tracks like Flight of Icarus and Run to the Hills to their nighttime playlists. But while airplay gave them standard introduction metrics, it was never the core engine of their growth. They deliberately used that minor radio exposure as a launchpad to anchor massive, arena-packing tours, relying on their spectacular live production to lock down permanent, multi-platinum consumer loyalty while ignoring daytime radio demands. Ultimately, Iron Maiden built an unkillable parallel empire that completely exposed the limitations of traditional music industry gatekeepers. By prioritizing relentless touring stamina, distinct visual branding, and a fiercely protective fan network, they secured a permanent status as a global stadium headliner, without ever relying on mainstream radio rotation. Decades later, while many corporate-engineered radio darlings of the 1980s have faded into complete obscurity, Iron Maiden continues to effortlessly pack major international arenas and football stadiums worldwide. They stand as the ultimate historical proof that a band can dictate their own terms, build an independent legacy, and conquer the global music business entirely on their own authority.